It's always a good time for tasty, cheap brandy. That's no small category, either. There's a lot of quality juice at affordable price points due to the fact that a fair amount of it is made here in the US. So while our parameter here is under $30, we're not talking about swell. Any of these bottles would make a great bottle to bring to Thanksgiving dinner or gift for the dark spirits lover in your life. In general, you'll see VS, VSOP, and XO on bottles like Hennessy VSOP. VS means very special and is a blend of at least 2-year-old Brandys. VSOP means very superior old pale and is a blend of at least 4-year-old Brandys. XO means extra old and is a blend of at least 6-year-old Brandys. And, lastly, there's Hors d'Age, which means the brandy is aged for up to 10 years or longer. At the first position of our list, we have Paul Masson Grande Amber Brandy. This American brandy is a blend of California winemaking and Kentucky bourbon ingenuity. The grapes are grown in California and the brandy is aged and bottled in Kentucky. According to the label, this brandy spends 3 years aging in oak before going into the bottle. A distant note of grape juice underpins clear bourbon caramel and vanilla flavors. Light touches of bitterness and black pepper spice mingle with the caramel sweetness. That light spice carries onto a thin, sweet finish. This is solidly in the mixing category. Brandy old-fashioned, eggnog, mulled wine, and the aforementioned hot toddy are all viable candidates. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Korbel Brandy. Korbel is a must-have for whipping up Wisconsin's favorite drink, the brandy old-fashioned. As with all the brandies on this list, that also makes it the perfect candidate for hot toddy. This Sonoma brandy actually gains a lot of depth over its 2 years in the barrel. There's a clear sense of caramel that leans towards a butterscotch sweetness. The oak comes through with a hint of spice. There's a slight minerality with a clear note of Venice grapes on the warming finish. This is designed for the old-fashioned. Use it for that. It also works really well with cola. The number 3 position is held by E&J VSOP Premium Brandy. E&J VSOP hails from the iconic Ernest and Julio Gallo Winery in Modesto, California. The juice is aged for 2 years before bottling, making it pretty versatile at this price point. You can drink this stuff in a highball or cocktail. It also works as a great dessert brandy. Pour some of this over a sponge cake or ice cream and you've got a nice boozy bump to that dessert. Wet brown sugar mingles with baking spices and a note of sunny meadows. Cream soda dominates the palate with a wisp of bourbon vanilla, maple syrup, and plummy sherry. The end is bold and long-lasting with a return of the warming spice alongside a little bit of oak. We're still squarely in the mixing category with this one. Still, give it a shot on the rocks or in a highball with some fizzy water to cool it down. Next at number 4 we have Paul Masson Grande Amber VSOP Brandy. We can't go on without hitting on Paul Masson's VSOP. This is one of the better brandies you'll find for under $20 in the US. This expression is the blend of Paul Masson's Grande Amber, above an imported cognac. That addition of the real deal stuff from France sets this brandy above the rest of the pack. Notes of fatty hazelnuts and dry champagne grapes lead the way. There's a matrix of spices at play, with cloves out front, cigar smoke, oily espresso beans, and freshly ground allspice round out the sip before it reaches a dry finish. This is starting to get into workhorse brandy territory with applications in cocktails, highballs, and on the rocks working well with this expression. The number 5 position is held by St-Rémy VSOP. St-Rémy is a classic French gateway brandy. Its price point is the biggest draw, but the booze is backed up with a decent grape-forward essence. That's thanks to a base wine that's a blend of deep breath Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Merlot, Gamay, Ugni Blanc, Carignan, Cinsault, Grenache, Syrah, and Cabernet Sauvignon grapes. The juice is then aged for 4 years in small format French oak barrels before hitting the bottle. This is a big departure from the Californian brands populating this list thus far. Fruit orchards, rays of sunshine, and wildflowers lead the way on this sieve. That white focus narrows on the palate to present ripe apricots and peaches with an almost honeysuckle floral hint that's cut by a lemon rind citrus on the very end with a final dry, vinous touch. The number 6 position is dominated by Korbel Brandy XS. Korbel XS is the extra smooth brandy that's a standout on this list. The brandy is spiked with vanilla, spices, sugars, and orange essence to really amp up the mixability of the brandy. There's a clear bitterness up front with whiffs of orange and baking spices. Later, the taste leans into cream soda vanilla that airs a little saccharin. The spices, bitter orange, and soda pop vanilla all combine on a quick end that fades with a slight burn. This works really well in an old-fashioned or brandy Alexander. Moving on to the next at number 7 with E&J Brandy XO. E&J XO deserves some love. Although this is designated as an XO, It's still only aged for a minimum of 2 years. It is, however, charcoal filtered. A lot of the harsher edges are whittled away through that process. That classic creamy vanilla of US produced brandy is front and center. There's a good sense of rich toffee and very dark brown sugar on those vanilla coattails. The finish is velvety, creamy, sweet, and full of that continued presence of vanilla. This is a dark, spicy, and sweet brandy that suits the Christmas sipping season where the eggnog flows and we all bathe in mulled wine. The number 8 position is held by President Brandy. Mexico's President Brandy is making big waves in the US, and with good reason. This is a solid brandy at an accessible price. This was also one of the most popular drinks in Mexico for a very long time, so much so that it was the national drink of Mexico at one point. There are notes of vanilla that are tempered by rich marzipan. The vanilla dries out and has more of a saltwater taffy essence as oak, spice, and a hint of florals linger in the background. The finish holds onto the dryness and ends strong. While you can drink this one neat or on the rocks, it really shines as a base spirit for a great cocktail. Next at number 9 we have Raynal VSOP Brandy. Raynal is one of the biggest French brandies in the United States. It's the perfect balance between affordability and quality. The brandy is a blend of white grapes from Burgundy, Bordeaux, and Champagne that are then aged in French oak for the requisite 4 years. This brandy smells like velvet, and nuts, walnuts, and almonds dominate. Hints of freshly grated ginger spice things up with a nice underbelly of candied dried fruits next to a wisp of fresh flowers. The finish is vinous and dry, with a lingering moment of ginger and nuttiness. That sharp ginger makes this a nice base for a sidecar cocktail spiked with ginger syrup. It's also a quality brandy for a highball. Finally, the number 10 position is dominated by St-Rémy XO. St-Rémy XO is a mellowed and very tasty brandy that's always around $20 a bottle. This brandy is a masterclass in French grapes. It blends distilled wines from Burgundy, Champagne, Rhone Valley, Languedoc-Roussillon, Loire Valley, Bordeaux, and Beaujolais into each bottle. Figs, gingerbread, sun-dried grapes, and butterscotch are present up top. The sweetness of figs peak as a clear espresso bean bitterness counterpoints that fruity sweet edge. There's an echo of wildflowers in the background as the bitterness and sweetness fades with a nice velvet texture at the end. This is a solid sipper with a little ice. Take your time with it to let it open up in the glass and then your senses. That's all for today. We upload budget-friendly product review videos every single day, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.